Okay, so jumping on, we have our Q8 foundation. So the Q8 is a very high output luminaire. It's very compact for its output, and it's very efficient as well. So we can see we're almost 15,000 lumens from this product from only 132 watts. What's particularly interesting, we have all the same color temperatures as the other products, the other foundation products. However, what's particularly interesting is we have a beam angle down at 4.5 degrees. Now, the advantage of a 4.5 degree beam from such a high output is we get very high peak intensities. So I'll just go through some of that in just a moment. So we also have the Q6, which is the slightly smaller version to the Q8. It's 7,500 lumens, also very efficient, and also available down to 4.5 degrees. So the key features of the Q6 and the Q8. Well, number one is our 9-step powder coating process. This process includes a marine-grade epoxy undercoat, which makes sure that we don't get any corrosion issues from the luminaires. With the overcoat that we use, it actually has a Teflon component to it, and that Teflon component means that the fixture is essentially self-cleaning, and it also helps to maintain the bright colour that the fixture has been powder coated in, so it won't fade over time. Again, we're using our premium Luxion LEDs in these products. And again, designer optics, we aren't offering this in a standard because at almost 15,000 lumens, that's a very high output with a spectacular colour over angle performance. We also have a constant torque adjustable bracket system on these products, which is really handy for aiming. So what that does is when you loosen the brackets, so ready for aiming, there's actually enough torque in the bracketry that the fixture will hold its position without doing it back up, which makes it much easier than undoing it a bit, moving it a bit, doing it up a bit, undoing it a bit, and then doing it up a bit. You can basically just loosen it, adjust it to where you want it, make sure you're happy with it, walk away, come back, and then do it up if you want to when you're ready. Again, we have the integrated active thermal management system. So if the fixture is left on in the sun on a hot day, it will switch itself off. And it will switch itself off before it reaches a temperature that will threaten the 50,000 hour life of the LEDs. These are rated at IP66 and IP67, and they're tested at IP68. I'm going to explain that one a little bit because it's kind of an unusual looking rating. IP66 is a high pressure jet test. It's actually a very difficult test to pass. IP67 is a larger number, so there's often an assumption that it's a higher rating. It actually isn't. It's a different rating. So IP67 is temporary submersion, and it's actually a lot easier to pass IP67 than IP66. So we test to both the IP66, which is the most difficult, and the IP67, because it's a larger number, just to make sure that we cover all bases of all understanding of how the IP rating system works. Now, just to complicate things a little bit further, we test everything to IP68. So this fixture will run permanently underwater at a depth of 1 metre. However, it's made from aluminium. So aluminium is not intended or is not a good choice of material if you're A, putting it in the ground, or B, putting it underwater. It will corrode. So we test it to IP68, but we do not rate it to IP68 because there is an assumption that if it's rated to IP68, it can be permanently installed underwater. Given that it's made out of aluminium, it will corrode and it will not last. So IP66, IP67 is the rating of most of our facade products, and all of our facade products are actually tested on top of that, just for our own confidence, to IP68. There's a choice of brackets. There's either the standard bracket that you see pictured here, or there is another bracket, which is our 3G rated bracket, which is even stronger again, and that's a solid stainless steel bracket. The reason that it's an option is that the bracket for the 3G rating is even more robust to deal with the weight of the light fixture under the extreme 3G vibration test. So if you're installing on bridges or somewhere where there is likely to be a lot of vibration, heavy vibration, the 3G bracket option is there for you. Of course, we feature Easy Glow, as we do in all of our facade products. At up to 14,700 lumens, it's a very high performer. Now, the peak intensity is where this one really shines, pun probably intended. We have a peak intensity of over 1 million candela from this product, which is a really, really high output. This is perfect for really long throws, or if you have a very small target a long distance away, it's a really nice option for that. Of course, we have OptiClear glass even on these larger products, and these are constructed from full marine grade aluminium. Now, marine grade doesn't mean you can install it underwater. It means that it is a very high grade and the most corrosion resistant aluminium. So it is as good as aluminium gets. However, still it's not suitable for underwater installation. Of course, it has integral Dali control. We also have micro anti-leach on these. So even though they aren't being installed in the ground and there's less of a chance of moisture ingress through the cable system, we still put micro anti-leach on the back of these fixtures, just to make sure if any moisture does make it into the cable system for some unusual reason, it doesn't make its way all the way into the luminaire. What's also important is we have an integrated galvanic isolator on all of our facade products. What this does is it's a plastic spacer which goes between the aluminium construction or the aluminium mounting surfaces of the product and the installation surface. So if the installation surface is a concrete or a limestone, which is very basic, or if it's a steel or a galvanized steel, which is has a different nobility to the aluminium, you can potentially have galvanic corrosion start, simply because there's a reaction between the aluminium that the fixture is constructed from and the surface that you're installing it onto. So what those galvanic isolators do is it means that we don't have the aluminium of the product actually touching anything other than the galvanic spacer or the plastic spacer, which it will not react with. These come pre-installed, they're completely standard, so the contractor doesn't need to understand what they're for or anything like that. You know that the fixture is going to be protected because we've already installed that part for you. So having a look at the features, lots and lots of different features. So all the different color temperatures, heaps of different beam angles, a few different bracket options, and of course with the finishes, all of our standard powder coat colors, or if you have a custom color that you would like, just give us the RAL color and we can do custom powder coat colors as well. Accessories, we have our little accessory holders. Actually, it's probably interesting to note here that all of the accessories for all of the Powsync products are compatible with the products that we're releasing, these foundation products. So these accessories are the standard accessories for all of the Powsync products, and they just fit the foundation variants as well. So we've got our accessory holder, we've got our egg crate louvers, and we also have our visor options. For the Q8, the same thing. All of the same accessories as a standard Powsync product. So the Q2, the little guys, very high output from a very small fixture at almost 3,600 lumens, and really high efficacy as well with the consumption of only 33 watts. So the beam angles, we don't quite get down to the 4.5, but we do get down to 6, which is still exceptional. And you get all of the color temperatures that we offer in all of our other products. We also have a flood option in these of 100 degrees, which is really nice for volumetric uplighting, for vaulted ceilings and things like that. It really can fill a space with light. They're really beautiful. The Q4 is the slightly bigger brother at 48 watts, but over 5,000 lumens. So it's a really nice little high power product as well. And again, the same color temperatures and the same beam angles as what is offered in the Q2 line. The Q2 product. So looking at some of the key features, of course, the same powder coating process that I described earlier, the same premium LEDs, the same premium optics. We have OptiClear glass, of course. Again, IP66, IP67, but tested to IP68. Micro anti-leach cable entries, thermal management systems. However, where we do have a slight difference to the Q6 and the Q8, the Q2 and the Q4 both have this adjustable reversible mounting bracket, and it's 3G rated as standard. So these can actually be removed and flipped upside down, so you can mount the bracket behind the luminaire, and it also has a very large range of motion. And again, they do have the constant torque, so you can adjust the aiming of that luminaire without locking it, which makes it really, really easy to aim and install these. Just a tip a trick that we like to use when we're aiming a large number of luminaires. If you get a free app on your iPhone or Android, which is a spirit level app, you can actually use that for aiming and making sure that all of your luminaires are at exactly the same angle as each other. You just rest the phone against the face of the glass, push the light fixtures to where you want them. When you're happy with the aiming, you can then lock them off using the locking screws, which I'll show you in a moment. So, of course, Easy Glow technology, really nice high output. Again, the full marine-grade aluminium construction, integral Dali control, and easy access locking screws for aiming and adjustment. So the middle screw that you can see here, this is actually the screw that we would undo to remove the luminaire from the bracket, or the bracket from the luminaire. And the two holes, there's one on either side, those are actually where the locking screws are located. So you reach through those holes with an Allen key and do up those screws, and that will lock the aiming. Now, the reason that they are through those holes and not exposed on the surface is that locking mechanism is actually independent of the luminaire itself. It's attached to the bracket. So if you aim a light fixture and get it just right, and then you do up those screws, those locking screws, and then you decide that for whatever reason you'd like to remove that light fixture temporarily, that aiming will actually stay with the bracket. So when the light fixture goes back on and you do up the mounting screw again, which is the big one in the middle, it will go back to, or it will be at the angle that it was at before you remove the light fixture. So it essentially saves that angle. So it's pretty handy. If you have a look at that screw in the middle, you'll see that there's a black ring around the outside. Again, that is a galvanic isolator, and it keeps the aluminium and the stainless steel apart. So we've even considered galvanic isolation within the construction of the luminaire itself. Down the bottom, we can see that we have, again, integrated galvanic isolators. Our galvanic isolators are on both sides as well, which is probably important to point out. You can see that it's on the bottom on the mounting surface, and it's also on the top. And the reason it's important to have it on the top is that when a contractor does up a bolt and potentially scratches through the powder coat, this protects the powder-coated aluminium from that happening. But it also means that the galvanized or stainless steel bolt is not touching the aluminium. It's isolated by that plastic isolating pad. Again, most of the same options as the Q6 and the Q8. Just having a quick look at the size so that we can get an understanding of how big these actually are. So the Q2 is very compact at only 235 millimeters wide. The Q4, a little larger at 330 millimeters wide. So for a luminaire which is producing 5,500 lumens, that's pretty small. The Q6 at 424 millimeters wide, and again at 7,000 lumens, that's quite a high output for such a small fixture. And then when we look at the Q8, where it's producing over 14,000 lumens and over 1 million candela peak intensity, it's only 570 millimeters wide. So very, very small, very lightweight. The Q8 only weighs 11 kilograms actually. So it's also, it's not a two-person lift. You can literally carry two of these at a time, no problem. So that's a lot of light for a very compact package. Just having a look at the entire Foundation Dali series range in terms of performance. So the Erden E4 at 1,850 lumens, nice high little output from a compact little package. The E6 is a higher output variant at 2,390. The Century at almost 2,500. We have the L3, which is almost 5,000 lumens for a 4-foot fixture, which is a really high output and very, very comparable and competitive in the market. We also have the Q2, which is 3,500 lumens from a tiny little light fixture. The Q4, which is 5,000, 7,000 from the Q6, and 14,000 from the Q8. One thing that I think is probably worth mentioning while we have you guys as an audience is we have several different types of LED series that we offer in our products. And the reason for that is none of them are better than the others. They're just all a little bit different. So the designer optic is based on one LED. If you order several luminaires, different types of luminaires that are all based on designer optics, the color temperatures, the beams, everything will match. They are exactly the same. The standard is a little higher output and can look a little different than the designer. So if you're looking for something that matches everywhere, go for the designer across the board. We're also releasing some new products based on a Zycato and a Cree LED, which are going to be called or are called the Principal and Essential. So if you install an essential product next to a designer product or in the same installation, they'll probably look pretty similar. They might look the same, but they won't be identical. So if you are looking for something identical, choose a series of products that come from the same LED series or the same lens series.